Hello and welcome to the Guardian Football Weekly. A belter of a game between Portugal and Croatia. Snicko spotting the ball, brushing a Croatian head. The ball didn't deviate, but their last-gasp equaliser was ruled out. There'd already been drama in injury time. A brilliant header from a Portuguese centre-forward not called Cristiano. If only Wilson was on today to talk about his lack of pressing. Roberto Martinez made that substitution and it paid off. So surely the final World Cup for those legends, Modric and Perisic, they weren't even that tired. That sets up an Iberian derby with Spain. Spain good, Austria not as good. An emphatic victory. Oyarzabal was excellent. It was all very straightforward. Equally easy for Switzerland, a goal in each half, while Algeria didn't do a lot. We'll look ahead to tomorrow. Can the Socceroos get past Egypt? How low will Ghana's low block be against Colombia? Can Messi get out of Pico Lopez's pocket? You'll never guess what today's correspondence is about. We'll take your questions, and that's today's Guardian Football Weekly. On the panel today in Dallas, Jonathan Wilson, hello.
How are you doing?
Barry Glendenning, welcome.
I will miss Perisic and Modric. I will not miss your joke about them being tired, Max. Hello.
Okay. Thanks so much. All feedback welcomed from listeners as well. Archie Rhind-Tutt, how are you?
Hey, Max.
Anything you're unhappy with, Archie, or are you okay?
I'm all good, but I mean, relishing the tension between the two of you still.
I thought we were fine until a minute ago. Anyway, for the YouTube viewers, we're broadcasting from our bedrooms. So if Barry gets really annoyed, he can just walk out of shot, into shot, hit me in the face, and then walk back again, because it's awfully late here. We'll begin with Portugal's win over Croatia. I mean, what? It was a great game. And right at the end, that offside call, the last minute of extra time, it feels, Wilson, so cruel on Croatia. I mean, third umpire Marius Erasmus rocked and rolled it many times, but I guess the chip in the ball is right, but it doesn't look like it deviates.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tiny little blip, but the blip is there, and if you trust technology, I guess it did flick Mantanovic's head, and therefore Pasalic was offside. So I guess it's better we get these right, even if they're borderline calls. But I quite have enjoyed an extra half hour of that, to be honest. I was really enjoying it. It was a much better game than I was anticipating. Yeah,
it was a great game. Andy says with hair pulling only worth a yellow card, is it? And now a last-second goal chalked off for flicking a Croatian head of hair. Are we going to see military-style shaved heads moving forward in football? Is this the marginal gain we've been waiting for? It was just such an agonising end. And as Barry, and as Wilson said, the game was, I thought this was a brilliant game.
Yeah, it was really entertaining. Both teams went all out to win. I think Portugal were probably the worthy winners, but the manner in which Croatia lost did seem very harsh. I mean, me knowing nothing about the rules, I thought that as soon as the ball hit Vega on its way off Matanovic's head, that meant the player was offside, but apparently it doesn't, because apparently he didn't deliberately hit it, which I would say is open to question. But anyway, sad to see Croatia go out, but I do think Portugal deserves to go through.
In those disallowed goals, the Susic one was particularly unfair because he put the ball up his shirt because he presumed he's having a baby, and then Ruben Diaz just smacked it out of his shirt to say, no, offside, play on. I mean, the moment that counted, Archie, is the header from Gonzalo Ramos. It's a brilliant cross and it's a brilliant header. Before we talk about who wasn't heading the ball at that time, we should congratulate Ramos for being there and scoring that goal.
Yeah, the whip and dip from Rafael Leao, who, as a kind of segue into Cristiano, it should be said that he was one of the few who went against team orders and had a shot from outside the box, which I thought helped to ignite a better passage of play from Portugal as well. And Leao is also somebody who is known for being mercurial. So that was, I think he played a key role in this. Also, have to credit Diogo Costa, who I think is very much in the running for saves of the tournament, though, as we were watching earlier on Fox, we had the Count from Sesame Street who had made the top 5, and Diogo Costa wasn't in there. But I think for his save against Colombia from John Cordoba, he could be in there. This, for me, was the save of the tournament because it was just the brush of the fingers from Mateo Kovacic. And also, he's got this quite endearing manner when he's when he's rushing out, where it looks like he's trying to open the oven with some oven gloves. His technique. I don't know why that sticks in my mind, but yeah.
I mean, oven gloves that are connected would not be good for goalkeeper gloves, would they? I mean, I thought Kovacic was absolutely brilliant today. But it does bring us the fact that Ramos was on the pitch. He wasn't brought on for Ronaldo. Martinez made 4 changes, didn't take Ronaldo off, then took Ronaldo off in the 80th minute. And we have been critical of Ronaldo. We've been critical of Martinez, Wilson. But I suppose it is still brave to take him off at a moment where that might be his last kick of a ball at a World Cup. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, at a moment where Roberto Martinez wants a job at Al Nassr next season, it's brave, but you'd like to think that international football doesn't work like that. I mean, how brave is it? Sorry, how brave is it? Like 4 years ago in Lusail, Portugal beat Switzerland 6-1 in last 16, and Fernando Santos left out Ronaldo for Gonçalo Ramos, who scored a hat-trick. And I wrote a piece saying, this is the end for Ronaldo at international level and good riddance. 2 years later, in Frankfurt, after Ronaldo had missed a penalty against Slovenia and Portugal went through on penalties, I wrote the same piece. And the great news is that Portugal-Spain game is in Dallas, and so we get the third in the trilogy. I've written him off in Lusail, I've written him off in Frankfurt, and I'll write him off in Dallas.
Because until that offside goal, Barry, he takes that goal brilliantly, but he had done nothing apart from occasionally getting someone's way in the minutes before, in the whole game before that moment.
There's plenty to be critical of him in this game. That finish was sublime, the goal that was ruled out. But apart from that, he was getting in other players' way. Other players seem beholden to pass to him rather than take on better opportunities of their own. He's not involved in any decent link-up play. He obviously doesn't press, and he insists on taking free kicks. The one he took today, he hit straight into the wall and caught someone right in the crackers.
Yes, he caught Pongracic, and you could get caught right in the Pongracics, I think it's fair to say.
So that finish aside, which ultimately counted for nothing, he was once again a bit of a liability.
Yeah. So Archie, the point is, in the next game against Spain, what does this mean? Does this mean Martinez can take him off a bit earlier?
I think Jonathan was very nice to you when you used the word brave about Roberto Martinez. Brave would have been dropping him, given everything that's happened. Brave is not taking him off at that point. It was long overdue. And look, even the way that Roberto Martinez took him off, it had to be by stealth. He had to make the quadruple sub first and then have Ramos on the pitch already being like, well, I'm not taking you off directly for Ramos. This is a side maneuver here. A distraction, I think, is the word I was looking for. So, yeah. Does he have to start him? Such as the relationship he's built, he does, but the whole permanent birthday kid routine is going to continue.
In the first half, I was watching Budimir, and I thought he played pretty well. He was taken off at half-time for Croatia. Just sort of thinking, if you had a player who's stretched to play like that for Portugal, it would just give that midfield so much more than they have. I don't know why I'm coming to you. You know this, Wilson. You don't need. You don't.
Let me just write this down. This sounds quite useful. Guys, do that again.
Can I ask you about Croatia then, Wilson? Because I don't know. This must be the end for Modric, who has had an amazing career. Perisic, who scored today. Kovacic, unbelievably, is only 32, so he might be back. But they were sort of heroic in this game. They defended brilliantly for a lot of it. Their keeper is excellent, much like Costa was excellent. Kovacic was brilliant, and they gave a lot to this football match.
Well, and they were actually weirdly sort of more open, more progressive than I think they usually are. I mean, last World Cup, which felt like the sort of the dying embers of a 2018 team, they kept on sort of clinging on in games, suddenly getting an equaliser when they needed one. I mean, that game against Brazil, when they went behind, Neymar scored that really good goal in extra time, and then there was the equaliser. It was a 117th minute equaliser. Then obviously they won on penalties because Croatia always win on penalties. Did they beat Japan as well? Was that in Qatar? Yeah. And I think Japan had been ahead in the game. Croatia equalised and beat them on penalties. So the fact that they actually took the lead, I mean, that was probably their mistake. They probably should have let Portugal have the lead, then equalise, and then they'd have won on penalties. But yeah, they often, I often think it's a Croatia. The first 20 minutes of games are often quite bad. So I mean, Portugal had loads of chances that first 20 minutes. It could easily have been a couple of goals up. But once they hadn't scored, you could just see that familiar Croatian pattern of them getting back into the game. I don't know if they need that length of time to sort of work out the opposition, to work out how they're going to... I mean, it was Rafael Leao, particularly in that first quarter of the game, that who's causing them problems. But they shut that down. So, yeah, it was more open than normal, but sort of a variation on the theme.
Is everyone happy with it? Because I've seen so much on social media, people being angry about the chip in the ball and it touching the hair, and we seem to have all just accepted this as fine, and it is fine. I don't know if that's.
Well, I don't really know how this chip works. I believe it's not identical to the Snicko that's used in cricket, and as far as I know, in cricket, it isn't just Snicko that's factored in. It's other things as well. But I'm not convinced the ball touched his hair. But if computer says no, then look.
Yes.
Or yes, who am I to disagree? My only concern would be that from the ball was crossed and then it hit at least 3 different people, or didn't, 2 or 3 or possibly 4 different people before it got to Pasalic. But on the graphic we're shown there's only one little bump. Now maybe I'm just being an old man who doesn't understand technology, but why aren't there several bumps?
Well, it only hit 2, didn't it? Like it brushed the hair and then it hits the head. So it's not a new phase of play. I'm happy if it hits. I'm happy if he connects with.
Well,
the
it
header.
hit. So it was crossed, and then we're told it hit Matanovic, then it hit Vega, then Pasalic. It got to Pasalic. So bump, bump, bump. But I may be well being completely stupid here. I don't understand the technology.
The bit they show from a chip in the ball, they've isolated the bit where it goes over Matanovic. There was no need to have the extra bumps there, which only confuse things.
You don't need a bump if you've seen someone's kicked it. Like we all concede, kicked it or headed it.
And the difference in cricket is cricket's all done through the stump mics. So as long as the chip is synced up with the pictures, then I think you have to accept it's more reliable than trying to judge if it has just gently brushed somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you possibly tell from footage whether that had brushed him? And that being the case, if a chip didn't exist, probably the goal would be given. But if it has brushed him, we've got the right decision. I mean, I think the penalty is actually not at all a clear decision. Certainly not as clear as commentators seem to be saying. I mean, look, it's obviously a foul, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
are you saying in like the consistency of decisions that have been made in this World Cup? I think we've seen
I mean,
similar
in the Switzerland game, there was, I can't remember who it was an Algerian foul on a Swiss player. Very, very similar. Nobody even mentions it. Portugal were very, very effective at stopping the game and making sure that Jared Gillett, who I have reservations about as a referee, had time to see it. And it was, it's a rugby tackle. He hasn't really sort of got his hands on him, but he's not really pulling him down. I look, if the referee had given it, fine, it's a penalty, but is it clear and obvious enough to go back and change it? I don't know. I think Croatia have the right to think they got the rough end of a couple of our decisions there.
It is worth saying that tomorrow marks the 1-year anniversary since Diogo Jota died. We've talked a lot about that in the context of Liverpool. It is worth thinking about the impact that must have had on this entire squad. And there have been tributes before every Portugal game, and there were after this game as well. And that will obviously give them an extra motivation to do well in this tournament. And that'll do for part 1. Part 2, we'll do Spain's win over Austria. Hi, Pod fans. Max here. Barry's here too.
Hello.
Now, Football Weekly is supported by Gradient FC. Now, Barry, we've talked a lot on the pod about football analytics, XG, and all that. And those pod fans who are deep into football analytics will probably already know Gradient Sports. They work with pro clubs across Europe's top leagues to provide player performance insights. But now they're bringing that same pro-level analysis directly to fans through the Gradient FC app.
Sounds interesting. What does it do?
Well, each match is graded by a team of experts who evaluate over 2,000 player actions per match, not just by outcome, but by execution. So, for example, a completed pass that leads the receiver into danger is graded negatively, while one that puts the receiver in on goal is graded positively.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, and with Gradient FC, you get some of the deepest metrics available to ordinary fans, like line-breaking passes, dribbles into dangerous positions, and chance creations. Now, I know you hate making match predictions, Barry, but maybe all that could change with Gradient FC, with head-to-head player comparison tools that show you who's best across more than 100 grades and metrics. It's easy to build and defend any prediction. And here's something else that will appeal to you, Barry. It's free.
Well, I am surprised to hear that, Max.
Well, explore it for yourself at gradientfc.com or download the Gradient FC app from the Apple App Store or Google Play, or use the QR code on screen now. Welcome to part 2 of the Guardian Football Weekly. So Spain 3, Austria 0. At the time that this game finished, I wrote only two sides of one emphatically. I guess you can say Switzerland were pretty emphatic as well. But Spain's win over Austria was very impressive, Archie. And it feels like they're just sort of getting going now in this competition.
I'm not completely sold on Spain yet, but this was their best performance of the tournament so far, because previously they'd been a bit untidy and clunky, I found, in their style overall. But having Dani Olmo at number 10, finally, seems to have them ticking along. And there was just some of the link-up play between Yamal, himself, Pedri, that made them really tick along in a really good way. There was a better rhythm in winning the ball back. My doubts are about how they go down for things where I think in La Liga they would get a foul, but not in this tournament. And I think they could get punished against better opponents. Rodri was better in this, but as we've repeated on quite a few occasions, is still not Rodri of a few years ago. And Austria couldn't really cause them enough discomfort, which, of course, on the one hand, you credit Pau Kubasi and Aymeric Laporte, but there were just one or two occasions where you thought, if Stefan Posch has a better touch, then Spain might actually have to do something.
It's a big if,
yes.
Isn't it? Oyarzabal, I want to say Oyarzabal, but Oyarzabal had a great game. Barry, your golden boot shout, got a couple today?
Yeah, he's on 4 now, so he's on. Yeah, I suppose he could conceivably win. It's hard to see past Kylian Mbappe at this stage, but yeah, he's sort of probably the most underrated of these Spanish players. One club player. I think a lot of people in Spain were unconvinced, or have long been unconvinced by him, and wouldn't be too bothered if he wasn't included in the squad. But I think he's proved his worth here. I mean, he'd probably be leading the Golden Boot if he had been able to hit a barn door in the game against Cap Verde, but he failed to score against them despite having several great chances. But he's hit his stride since. I thought his 2 finishes today were really good. He's on 17 goals in his last 17 games for Spain, I think. And I thought before the tournament he'd probably be limited to substitute appearances, but he seems to be established as a starter. And long may he continue scoring goals, hopefully loads and loads of them against Portugal.
What do you make of Spain so far, Wilson?
I mean, that was by far their best performance. I'd allowed myself to think that they weren't all that, but now I think that France-Spain semi-final we could have, that could be a team who could stop France, which I've been struggling to see. So encouraged by them, and I don't think it's Austria or all that, and I do wonder whether that sort of Red Bull football is maybe reaching the end of its shelf life and needs a bit more zest.
I wanted to ask you, you and Archie, actually, Jonathan, about is Ralph Rangnick. Is he any good as a coach, or I know he has this reputation as some super guru, but he doesn't. Anything I've seen of teams he's coached has been incredibly underwhelming. I thought Austria were pathetic today. It's like they had nothing.
I mean, look, his great sort of flush of innovation came almost 40 years ago. So you're not seeing him at his peak, and you're judging him on his performance at Manchester United, which is difficult.
It's not fair on anyone, right?
Yeah. So I think there's a touch of the Bielsa's about him, that he's probably a better theorist than he is actual winner of trophies, and also he's now past his best. But if you think of Austria at the Euros, certainly early on they were quite good. I don't think it's an amazing group of Austrian players. So I mean, I'd be slightly more generous to him than many. But I think you've got to look at what he did in German football in the 90s. Really, he's
very popular in Austria for the job that he's done there, and has reinvigorated them as a footballing nation at international level. You have to point out with this Austria team, the injury before the tournament to Christoph Baumgartner hit them very hard. He is by far their most creative player going forward, and one who can beat players with a dribble, and they were lacking that in this tournament. I thought they didn't link up in the way you would have anticipated them to, and the reason I thought they had to come out with a bit of a quick approach today, where it didn't pay off, because look, as much as I don't want to pay too much attention to XG all the time, they had 0.03 after an hour, but a quick approach.
That's not enough, is it?
Not really. But a quick approach, I think, suited them because of how they can press. But ultimately, they just weren't able to create the chances. Ralph Rangnick's reputation in Germany, because he's not done it with classic traditional clubs, the fact that he's built monsters in the eyes of a lot of traditional fans in Hoffenheim, and then much more egregiously RB Leipzig, there will never be the appreciation for his work that actually I think there could be. But yeah, in Austria, he is very much adored.
James says, enjoying Ralph Rangnick collecting the glasses at the end of the first hydration break, like the grumpiest barmaid at a Wetherspoons in Rochdale. I was saying well done to Pedro Porro, got his first goal for Spain. And actually him and Cucurella look really quite sharp at fullback.
I was surprised Lamine Yamal came off the pitch in one piece. He was up against Konrad Laimer and obviously came out on top in that particular battle, but I think he nutmegged 5 different Austria players during the course of the game. And I was thinking, it's only a matter of time, right? They're going to accept we've lost this game. We're being totally overwhelmed here. But let's at least give this guy a kicking around the pitch, because he's making us look like mugs. But maybe they just couldn't catch him. I don't know.
You'd been worried, Archie, that he hadn't quite shown up until today. And he was, he was good, but he's still not. I guess a lot of superstars have lit up this tournament, and he hasn't quite yet.
Yes, that was it. It was in comparison to the other leading lights. And obviously Lamine Yamal came into this tournament carrying an injury and is having to work his way back, which is not ideal when you're looking to get off to a running start. He is looking like he's picking up more and more pace as the games go on, which can only be a good thing for Spain.
In Bob the Cat Watch, Danny Murphy was back on comms for the BBC today. And he said, surprisingly, there was a lot of interest. We did get him back about 6 or 7 weeks later. This is the cat that jumped in the Royal Mail van. Danny said, unfortunately, he'd gone feral and we couldn't reintegrate him in the home. He ended up living with my friend's parents in Preston. That was the life he had, and now he's passed away, unfortunately. Thanks for all the concern to those that have been messaging us. I have asked Danny if there'll be a trilogy. It's got 2 ticks. They haven't gone blue. Let me just check if Danny Murphy is a 2. If he's a blue tick guy, he is a blue tick guy. They've gone blue, but as yet, nothing left. Nothing back from Danny. So I'll keep you in the loop. I mean, I don't know what the next bit of the story can be. He's kind of told the story in it's a 2-act play, the Bob the Cat story. But
well, it could be an incredible journey type.
Oh yeah,
story where Bob makes his way back to Shea Murphy from Preston.
True.
all on his lonesome.
He is dead now, so that will make it harder.
Okay, yeah.
But you never know. Anyway, we're doing
Maybe
live
that's
shows.
only one of his lives that's expired.
Yeah. Or maybe Danny heard two different versions. You never know. We're doing live shows in September. 1st of September at Vicar Street in Dublin. 9th of September at Soho Theatre in Walthamstow. I am reliably informed tickets are selling fast, so please come along. Guardian.co.uk/Football Weekly Live. That'll do for part 2. In part 3, we'll do Switzerland's win over Algeria. Look ahead to tomorrow, do a bit of correspondence too. Welcome to part 3 of the Guardian Football Weekly. So Switzerland 2, Algeria 0. I'm not saying this wasn't the game of the day, but the entire production team spent the whole match doing their expenses, which is quite complicated, it appears. What did you make of it, Wilson?
All tournament have been a bit disappointed by Algeria. I think Ibrahim Mazza is a really, really good player. And you kept seeing lovely little passes from him. And then you just let in daft goals and none of it means anything. And that's been the story in the group stage as well. That every game, there've been at least one stupid goal they've conceded. I mean, the first goal here is Manzambi. It's a great run, cuts it back for Mbolo. But the second goal, they give the ball away twice. They have 2 opportunities to clear it, and each time they give it back to a Swiss player, and Dory scores. And I mean, really, Algeria just didn't look like, after the second goal winning, Algeria just didn't look anything like getting close to getting back into the game.
Are you as annoyed with the African teams as Osasu was yesterday? I mean, he's very frustrated about them getting through to the last 32, but like a lot of them giving away silly goals, giving away leads, etc., etc.
I mean, I don't think I've ever been as annoyed as Osasu is.
I mean, there was the first ep of this series at the World Cup. That's my evidence.
I shared an Airbnb with Osasu in Yamoussoukro in Ivory Coast, and I was awakened. The game had finished late, and then something to do with sharing lifts. We'd had to go and get food for somebody, so I didn't get to bed till like 2 a.m. or something. And at about 5:30, I was awakened by I could hear Osasu, and a lot of African housing have like tiled floors, so the sound really carries and reverberates. And somebody had stolen or he had mislaid his iPad, and he was on the phone, I think to his insurance company or possibly to CAF. And I just, for like an hour, all I could hear was Osasu kind of expressing his frustration at the loss of the iPad. And despite being deeply tired, I could not get back to sleep.
So
what was the question? The question was,
I'm not sure. That was the question.
Well, look, I think, given that CAF for years have been campaigning saying 5 slots out of 32 was not sufficient when they have 55 members, they've ended up with 10 because DRC got the additional 1 to the interconfederational playoffs. They really needed at least 5 teams to get through, and they got 9 through. So that's great. You know, it's the teams who haven't lived up to the previous slots are the Asian teams and CONCACAF teams. CONMEBOL and UEFA hit exactly their slots 5 and 13, but none of them topped their group, and I suspect we're going to end up with only Morocco going through, and that feels like not much has changed. I think it was 2 got through in Qatar, none got through in Russia, 1 got through in Brazil, 1 got through in South Africa, 1 got through in Germany, 1 got through in Japan and Korea, and I think it's going to be 1 again. So should they be doing better? I don't know why they. I mean, Rudy Garcia touched on this, and he moved to clarify what he'd said. That he'd said something about teams like this don't know how to finish off games, and the question was asked: was he referring to African teams? Was it a racist statement? He went, no, I just mean teams of this level who are not familiar with being in this situation. And you do feel, Ivory Coast, they're heading against Germany, they don't finish it off. They get level against Norway, the momentum's with them, and they don't finish it off. Senegal in an amazing position against Belgium and don't finish it off. And that not finishing it off is a recurring pattern. And I don't know if it's just lack of strength in depth, that they don't have a player to bring off a bench. I don't know if there is something tactical going on, that maybe an inexperience in those knockout games means that they aren't able to see those games through. But it does feel like a great opportunity to get 4 or 5 sides through the last 16 has been missed at this tournament.
Archie, we should talk about Switzerland. Johan Manzambi, as Wilson mentioned, it's a brilliant run. We were all like, he's taken it too far, but he got it. And Bolo really shouldn't have run the other way. It should have gone to say, thanks, mate, for that. But he plays for Freiburg, so tell us a little bit about him.
He is dynamite. He had a breakout season with Freiburg, been playing mostly in central midfield for them. But as you can see, he can do it all. He's a body pop dribbler in that his arms are going in all kinds of directions. There was a tackle, actually, that he did in a Bundesliga game against Granit Xhaka when Xhaka was at Leverkusen the season before, where Murat Yakin saw him and said, I like that a lot, that he would do that to his national teammate who is much his senior. And he has changed Switzerland's World Cup around. Before he came on against Bosnia, it looked like they were slinking towards a very disappointing tournament. And he's also replaced Xherdan Shaqiri, which is no small feat either. He was the person that Switzerland would turn to if things were going wrong up front. But he has magic feet, so quick, particularly for that goal. And an especially sweet victory for Switzerland as well, because also against their former coach, Vladimir Petkovic, who was there from 2014 to 2021, helped mastermind that victory of the century, as they put it, in Switzerland against France in the 2021 Euros. But here, Murat Yakin, who is a different kind of character to Petkovic, a bit more relaxed, he found the right formula. That's not always been the case in key moments for Switzerland, so credit to him, and excited to see more Johan Manzambi. He is going to leave Freiburg for a lot of money, we expect, this summer, and with each assist, with each goal, they are adding on millions of euros.
No small feat to replace Shaqiri, but of course you can't have small feet with calves like Shaqiri, can you? Unless you've got any strong thoughts on this game, Baz, we can look ahead to tomorrow.
Well, I think, with the possible exception of Johan Wisse yesterday, Fabian Rieder had the miss of the tournament for Switzerland towards the end of this game. It didn't matter in the end, but a gaping goal just to side foot home into from a couple of yards out. And he somehow took his eye off the ball, caught it with his heel and just rolled it across the face of goal into the grateful arms of Zidane Jr., Luka Zidane, who was in goal for Algeria.
It was some miss. Tomorrow then, Australia, Egypt, Argentina, Cape Verde, Colombia, Ghana. You're going to the Australia-Egypt game. So you think Australia are favourites for this, Wilson?
I suppose that's the logical conclusion of me saying I think only one team's going through. I still can't get my head around Hossam Hassan being a half-decent coach because I've read Ahmed Hassan and I've read Esam Aladari slagging him off so much. And they weren't impressive at all at the Cup of Nations. They've done fine in this tournament. I mean, it's probably 50-50 this game. But I wouldn't have any great confidence in them. I don't know if you saw the scenes when Egypt arrived as well. There was some very unnecessarily heavy-handed policing. That there was a Egypt player getting a selfie with a small child, and on either side of a barrier. So I don't think anybody was in the wrong place. Mm-hmm. And shall we say, a stereotypical Texan policeman decided to get involved. And then Ibrahim Hassan, the twin brother of Hossam Hassan, a man who famously once in a game grabbed a rifle of a policeman when he was pointed in his direction. He showed absolutely no fear in screaming back. So you just had two large bald-headed men screaming at each other, one wearing a police uniform, one wearing the black T-shirt of the Egypt national team.
Right, I see. Like two Ross Kemps both celebrating Harry Kane goals against each other. Right, okay. Colombia, Ghana, Baz?
Mo Salah is apparently a doubt for this game.
He's fit. Yeah, he's fit,
is he?
Okay, yeah.
Fine.
Argentina, Colombia, Ghana. I mean, this, Barry, we expect will be the lowest of low blocks against Colombia, who've looked really quite exciting so far.
Really exciting. They're one of the most entertaining teams in this tournament, and have a lot of people think they could go a long, long way and possibly get to the final. I would expect them to beat Ghana, but who knows? Antoine Semenyo was a doubt. I believe he is fit and will play. But yeah, it's hard to see past Colombia in this one. And I think the tournament would benefit if they advanced instead of Ghana.
Breaking news here. No need for a voice note. Hi, Pod fans. Max here. The pod was recorded before, actually during Julian Nagelsmann was fired by Germany. Archie, or unsurprised, I imagine, Jurgen Klopp, the main candidate to replace him.
Julian Nagelsmann continually put himself centre stage and not the players. He was always forthcoming, whether it was pieces which were about him, which seemed to have been fed to the press, or himself talking about how reflective he was in his actions. And yet the problem is that his actions never showed that. It was only in the words. And he showed how out of loop he was with people back home in how he communicated after the game against Paraguay. He sounded like he'd just lost a normal game, not that this was the absolute disaster and catastrophe that it was for Germany to go out of a third World Cup in such disappointing circumstances. He's failed now, mentioning Hoffenheim and Leipzig again. He's failed now at Bayern and at Germany. And I think it shows that in a tough environment, he still has lots to learn. He hasn't proven himself outside of those controlled environments of Hoffenheim and Leipzig. There have been reports about poor communication with the players at this tournament, sending them WhatsApp voice notes to try and communicate things rather than talking to them. He is not solely responsible for German football being in a tricky spot right now, but he definitely didn't help himself, and this had to happen. It would be incredible if Jurgen Klopp doesn't take over now.
Right. Gianni was chatting about England's win over DR Congo. It's potentially saying quite a bit out loud about hydration breaks. He said, after an intense start to both halves, England used their hydration breaks well to regroup, reorganise and get on the front foot before finding the net twice in the final 15 minutes. These breaks are so important to give players a break during tournament play, while also allowing all coaches a dedicated moment every match, not just depending on the weather conditions, to engage directly with their players. He's previously said, Wilson, they are for player welfare. You've been to a lot of games. How have you found them?
Awful. And one of the things that offends me is I realised I often would say things like the first quarter of a game, and it used to be fine, and now you're not allowed to say it. And that annoys me. I've had to change how I speak. But yeah, it just ruins the rhythm. I think there clearly are games that have been changed by the breaks, and if that is how we want football to be, well, that's fine. But there should probably be a discussion about it rather than just sort of, let's do this because Paraguay offered us loads of cash.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're quite clearly not for player welfare. They're so that TV networks can have commercial breaks. And I don't know if Gianni has noticed this, but there has always been a designated time for managers to have tactical interventions during games, and that is after 45 minutes, when they get 15 minutes to impart any new wisdom they may wish to impart.
Yeah, I should say, by the way, that it's just reports at the moment that Nagelmann's getting the boot, but he will get the boot. We all imagine it's going to happen. But yeah, no official statement as yet. In other England hotel news, they won't need decoy hotels or Harry Kane hiding in a laundry basket because they're going to have roadblocks outside their hotel, apparently.
Well, how will anybody be able to tell if there's a roadblock in Mexico City? Nothing moves anyway. But the whole city's one enormous roadblock.
So that's to our advantage, isn't it? Thomas Tuchel saying he's a bit frustrated that England wanted to fly on the day of the game or the day before, but because they have to have an open training session, they have to go tomorrow. So they'll be in that middle ground of not having enough time to acclimatise, but enough time to all be absolutely exhausted and not be able to breathe ahead of that game. So that is something to look forward to. And we'll finish on this from Tom. Quite a long email, but it is on the subject of Mark Langdon and vegetables. Of course it is. Hi, guys. Former colleague and good friend of Lango's here. Lango and I went on a work trip to South Korea in December 2024. As the Korean speaker and former Seoul resident, I was in charge of food, which gave me great delight. Not that you need it, but I can confirm Mark is very averse to his veggies. But in fairness, he gave pretty much everything I put in front of him a try. At Lars' request, I got a video of him eating kimchi, and his reaction was every bit as funny as you can imagine. Whilst not saying it in front of my Korean friends, he later described it and put it down in writing in his excellent column from Seoul as rancid. The national dish of kimchi is rancid, and Koreans have it with everything. It's the same story with rice. Kimchi and plain white rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If anyone is looking to head to Dragon's Den with a business idea, may I suggest taking gravy to Korea, where a revolution of wet, flavoursome rice could take place. A good career move for Mr. Bisto would be to hit Korea hard. However, it was by no means all bad, and a few shots of soju made most things better. He was nothing but polite when declining food from our hosts, but when one particular meeting ran very long, he was like a naughty schoolboy messaging me under the table to inform me, need to go to McDonald's after this. There's one 900 metres away next to the uni. We took him there and he got his regular meal and then added a spicy shrimp burger, which he proclaimed was the best thing he ate in the country. As expected, he loved the Korean barbecue and was far more adventurous than expected. I've seen him order Korean fried chicken in a bar in London since we got back. Top bloke. Get him back on ASAP. All the best, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Football Weekly at theguardian.com if you have seen Mark eating a vegetable or anything else you'd like to message us about. And that'll do for today. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Thanks, Archie.
Just sadly looking at his Honey Nut Cheerios here, which have been untouched in the kitchen since. Thank you, Matt.
That is bleak. Thank you, Wilson.
Vegetables are really hard to come by in Dallas. I found a Whole Foods earlier. I went to the Whole Foods and it's so expensive. I spent $85 on fruit and veg. And that wasn't like a lot.
No, I mean, LA is insane. The cost
See
of living here is
also
insane.
bags of M&Ms, Haribo and crisps.
Yeah,
You
this
could
is the
easily
trouble.
drop $100 on enough Haribo sweets and crisps for 6 blokes to get through in 2 days.
Yeah.
And bear
And
in
all
mind, all Max eats is yogurt and bird seed.
Yeah. Barry suggested he was winning because I eat seeds out of choice. That's what I said. You eat seeds out of choice.
What's your favourite seed, Max?
What's my favourite seed? Oh, well, I've just got hemp seeds and flax seeds in the cupboard to go on my yogurt. If you're happy with them, I'm a middle-aged man.
Yeah, I have them. I have that. When I'm at home, I would have them ground up with yogurt every morning. But I'd also have some pumpkin seeds with a bit of texture.
Yeah, no, they are good as well, aren't they? But Barry buys all these sweets because I'm going to the gym every day to be pious, and he's holding me back by putting the sweets in front of me, and I can't stop myself because I don't have any willpower.
Well, I've lost 2 kilos on this trip, which is, I think, the first time ever at a tournament I've lost weight.
Very well done. Feels like that's enough for today. Thanks, everybody. I think I've thanked you all already.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Wilson.
Cheers, thank you.
A Football Weekly is produced by Rory Simon and Matt Bentley-Viney. Our executive producers are Joel Grove and Tyre Papula. And we'll be back tomorrow.